That means I have been voluntarily celibate for over a year. Yeah, I'm a Volcel. This is a Volcel channel now.
Shit just got real.
Hey y'all, it's 𝐻𝐚𝐭, and today I'm going to talk a bit about going from an open relationship with other people to a closed relationship with myself. This might be a solid video for you if you are experiencing crusty relationship after crusty situationship after crusty. Just you're finding yourself in a lot of situations that are not in alignment with what you bring to the table. They don't feel mutual.
I couldn't afford a present this year, so I got you this box.
It feels like you might be doing everything and you're getting nothing back in return. The way I was going about things was just hopping right back into it, trying again. And I'm gonna talk about why I have found that to be a mistake for myself and why being intentionally single has been an absolute game changer for my life. But first, if you're new here, welcome. 𝐻𝐚𝐭 is a realm dedicated to demystifying and destigmatizing the trip. In this case, we're talking about the trip of life. If you dig this video, please be sure to subscribe. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram at 𝐻𝐚𝐭, and my DMs are open. On Patreon, okay? And we're gonna talk a bit today about why my DMs had to go behind a paywall.
This channel was made possible by contributions from Patreon patrons and subscribers like you. Thank you.
But anyways, I'm 𝐻𝐚𝐭, I'm single, I'ma stay single, and here's why. So, before I talk about intention, I want to quickly talk about like my dating history, which I never have on this channel before. I don't really talk about my personal life all that much, but I have learned so much. And I think why I haven't talked about it before is because I had too much to learn. But in the past 2 years of being an intentionally single person, I have learned so much that I just can't help but to share with y'all. So whether you're dating, whether you're single, whether you're looking to date, I feel like you'll be able to take some lessons from today's videos and what I've learned from the past 2 years of being intentionally single and sticking it out. And if you have lessons too, please drop them in the comment section. Let me know what you've learned from being single, okay? All my single ladies, but also my sisters, brothers, and others. Today, we are celebrating being single. So yeah, history. Well, I'm nearing towards the end of my 20s, currently, at present. And from college, from my freshman year of college up until 2 years ago, all throughout my 20s, I was in relationships, okay? And a lot of the times when you're non-monogamous, you end up being in multiple ones at once, right? So a lot of the times when we're living a non-monogamous life, we're just never single. Because if one partnership is not a fit, you might actually still be in another one, right? So that was my experience. I lived maybe like 8 years of my life not single. Could have been more than that, I'm not sure. And I was just constantly in relationships, constantly in partnerships. It's kind of like when you're tripping and you never take the time to integrate the journey, okay? So I was tripping. I was tripping. I didn't take a break to integrate. That's what I did not do, okay? And I paid for it dearly because the relationships, they got worse and worse and worse. And like I said earlier, maybe you yourself have found yourself in a crusty situation after a crusty situation. I found that this was a sign to take a step back from dating altogether, okay? Because it certainly wasn't getting any better. I realized that I don't know that I've ever defined intention in the realms of any relationship that I've ever been in, what's my intention? If you asked me, I probably would have said, oh, I want to connect. I want to explore. It probably would have been very vague, but I am not making that mistake for entering a closed relationship with myself. So I do have an intention set for my closed relationship with myself. And that is growth. That is independence. That is relocation. And until I'm able to meet those goals, until I'm able to actualize that intention, I do not think that being in a relationship with other people would be beneficial or even healthy for me. Because there are goals that I need to reach just on my own, just by myself. And something I was experiencing before is like, even though I did want to relocate, I would keep getting into relationships with people in Baltimore. I would keep dating people in Baltimore. I would keep finding myself in situations that kept me locked in to the same place. And that wasn't fair to me, and that wasn't fair to the other people that I was with, because even though I did have partners who said, yeah, I'll move across the country with you, it still was not allowing me to exist in a place where I could fully explore that without it severely affecting things, you know? And talk about an escalation, like moving across the country with a partner, that is one of the biggest escalations. And I really wasn't trying to escalate any situation that I was in. So after my last breakup, which I talked like very vaguely on this channel about because it was not a great situation. Not only awful, but I actually didn't understand how awful it was until I was given information like a year after it was over, that it was actually a lot, even more awful than I thought it was. And so I had two choices. I could have either hopped into another relationship right after that, maybe even found something awfuler, or I could decide to do what is the least personally satisfying thing to me, which is to focus on myself, feed into myself, and enter a closed relationship with myself. And this is where I want to say to everyone watching this right now, your relationship status can be a boundary, okay? And it can also be an impetus for you to get on the trajectory that you see fit for yourself, whether that's relocation, whether that's, you know, you have a career goal in mind, whatever it's going to be. For me personally, I know that when I was in relationships with other people, I wasn't able to grow this channel the way I wanted to. I wasn't able to grow my TikTok the way I wanted to. I wasn't able to do a bunch of stuff like produce a feature-length film, you know? The things that I'm finally able to do for the first time in my life because I have the space to do it. I was not able to do all of that when I was in relationships because I was so committed to people that it was almost like a mental marriage. Like I was devoted. I was the partner that would go to ℎ𝐻, get all the ingredients, create that like onigiri, unagi, bento box, you know. I was the one that would do like all like little thoughtful notes, like all the little things. I was pouring myself into relationships and other people when I definitely should have been pouring myself back into me. And so here's the thing. I was always able to find those other people. I was not at a loss for them. So I kept going with the bit. I kept going with it. I kept dating people. I kept going out with people. I mean, it's not all bad because through some of my relationships, I got to do things for the first time that changed my life, like go to Burning Man. I got to like travel and I got to go to Africa for the first time. You know, I have so many instances in relationships that I'm really grateful for. So I don't mean to downplay how relationships have informed and impacted my life because I would not be the person I am today without that. But with my last partnership, it got to a really dangerous place where I realized I was not attracting safety. I was not attracting mutuality. I was not attracting someone who was like me in any way outside of maybe like musical tastes and superficial surface level things. I thought that things were running deep, and not only did they not run deep, I was not safe. My life was put at risk. I mean, if there's something that's gonna snap me out of it, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Woo, that'll do it. You don't have to worry about me. You do not have to worry about me.
That snapped me right out of whatever sort of compulsory relationship sort of hypnosis I was under. I'm queer, so some of the relationships that I was in weren't necessarily comp-het, but my dating life was compulsive. I was just doing it because it's what you do. I also honestly couldn't picture myself single. And if this is resonating with you right now, if you are in a place where you cannot picture yourself single, trust me, you are not doing anybody any favors by staying in a relationship. The less you can see yourself single, the more that work is probably like some of the shadow work you might need to do before you really settle down into some shit. I say that because if you can't imagine yourself outside of a situation, then the situation becomes a little hostagey, you know? I think that my aversion to being single throughout my 20s was like a hostage mentality that kept me in so many situations that were not serving me. And it was because I knew what I brought to the table, so I projected that onto other people. If you're neurospicy and you know, but a lot of the times we project our goodness onto others without them doing jack.
You don't want to work. You just want to make noise.
To deserve it, okay? And so taking a step back now, being in a close relationship with myself, what does that include? That means I haven't been on a date with somebody in over a year. That means I have been voluntarily celibate for over a year. Yeah, I'm a Volcel. This is a Volcel channel now.
Shit just got real.
I'm gonna pull this up on my TikTok. Speaking of being voluntarily celibate, I've been very inspired by this 4B movement coming out of South Korea. I don't know if any of y'all have seen it, but if you're a femme or you date men, or you're a woman who dates men especially, look into the 4B movement, because these women in Korea, B stands for no, and it's like the 4 no's, and the 4 no's are sex, child rearing, dating, and marriage. I want to talk about this a lot in another video, and let me know if this is something y'all are interested in. But these women in Korea are saying no to all 4 of those things, at least until the situation in terms of dating gets better. For me, dating prospects and trying to find someone who's at my level is it's in the garbage disposal. I haven't been able to do it. And part of that is definitely because I haven't been able to take a step back, okay? I've been in my non-monogamous community, you know, and everybody dating each other and all that kind of stuff. Yes, that has been me. But it's just at what point is this not getting better? And at what point do I need to legit step back from all of this? Even dating. You know, even dating. So that's where I'm at. I'm focusing on me. Speaking of demands, I feel like until I have all of my demands met in terms of where I want to be in my life, what I want to be doing, I want to have a snake, y'all. I want to have a snake and a flute. Believe me, I have some goals here. And so until I can get to that place where I'm happy, I got my own place, I got a snake, I got my flute, I just don't see dating in my picture. I don't see dating doing anything from holding me back from getting a place, from being with my snake, from getting my flute, okay? And I know y'all watching this, you have a snake, you have a flute, okay? Write it down. Write down what that lighthouse is, okay? And don't let anybody out here in any relationship get in between you and your lighthouse. Because I know for myself, when I'm there, that is where I'm going to attract the best possible situation. When I don't need nobody else, when I've figured that out for myself, when I am independent and happy and excited to be single. I've gotten to the place where I hold my singleness as a pearl. I'm gonna have to claw this pearl out of my dead hands, so to speak. It's something that I treasure greatly at this point in my life, and it's something that is needed greatly, and I can feel that. And if any of my words are resonating with you, I'm not saying break up with him. This isn't a break up with him video, but just start thinking about the reasons why you don't feel like you can do it alone. And maybe you don't want to do it alone, and that's different. But if you feel like you couldn't possibly do it alone, and by do it, I just mean exist and be single, then I would say I'm not a licensed therapist and it might be time to find one. It's time to find one for everybody, okay? Anybody watching this, is time to find a licensed therapist or a certified life coach, somebody who can help you through this period. Because needing a relationship isn't cute. Needing to be with someone, it's not cute. The needing it, it's the needing it. It has taken so much being so content and happy with myself that something else doesn't even need to be on the way. Okay? It's a nice addition. Okay? It's nice if you're here, but hey, I don't need it. And I've never felt in a better balance, in better flow, in a healthier mindset than I do right now. Saying, hey, this thing, it doesn't have to be on the horizon for me. A relationship doesn't have to be coming from me. That person doesn't have to be right around the corner, because that person is me. And if you're watching this video right now and you're thinking that somebody else is that person, I can assure you that they're not. You are that person. You are your ultimate soulmate. And anybody who has interest in you, you know, they can be, as we call it, a secondary. But you are your primary, okay? And you will always be your primary. So feed into the relationship you have with yourself. My lesson was to feed into my primary relationship, the relationship I had with myself, before seeking out a secondary relationship, situationship, what have you. And as soon as I was able to do this, I started thriving. I started feeling even more attractive than I knew myself to be. And I realized that I don't have to settle. Okay? Sprinkle, sprinkle. You don't have to settle. Simple as that. One of the biggest patterns in my relationship that I kept never learning from the situation was I always needed the other person to change. I always needed the other person to change. I got to the point in the relationship where, man, I just need this person to change. Or they're telling me that they're going to change in this way. I just need that and then I'll be happy. At what point does it become you settling? At what point do you realize that it's not a mutual situation? At what point do you find validation in what you can bring to the table and you bring that to the table for yourself? I think a lot of the times as women, as femmes, we do the most to try to keep what we think is a good thing going. But if it was a good thing, we would not be ever asked to even do close to the most. So what I'm working on doing is doing the most for myself, learning myself. I mean, My perfect date is a trip to the Renaissance Festival and, you know, obviously some mushrooms and somebody DDs for me. Maybe I can't do that for myself, but that's when friends come in. And you can take yourself out on dates with your friends there, and they're taking themselves out on dates, and it's a fun little play date, all that kind of stuff. So my message here is not to be a hermit and close yourself off from all relationships. My point here is to feed into the relationship you have with yourself, so much so that you can then start feeding into the relationships you have with friends, and maybe even healthily get into a romantic relationship or multiple romantic relationships. And I also can say being single for the past 2 years has just skyrocketed my relationship with friends. I've never had such incredible, deep, interconnected relationship with friends. I have never just like experienced this world. And I'm telling you, if you're watching this and you're thinking, I can't do it, trust me, you can. And the grass is not immediately greener, okay? We all have our like serotonin withdrawals. I had extreme serotonin withdrawals from cuddling, my goodness. But after you get through those post-breakup pits, and I don't mean to underplay them, they are pits, there's a really beautiful place outside of that where your friends are waiting for you, where your community and family are waiting for you, where other people who bring exactly what you bring to the table are waiting for you. And it might not be romantic. For me, I tell the people this in my life, I might not date again until I'm in my 40s or 50s. I might not be in a partnership again until I'm in my 50s or 60s. But you see, I have the time. I have the time. So I hope you can take my words and think about how they might apply to your life, because I imagine that if you got to this point in my video, they do. At least a little bit. And if not a little bit, a lot of it. There is still time. You don't need to be in any rush. And when I'm telling you, I'm living my best life ever as a single person, nothing has come close. Please just take that into consideration. Also, I learned another lesson, which was this: the number one most dangerous thing for me personally in terms of being in relationships throughout my 20s, being in those 20s relationships, was that I was so busy looking at someone else that I did not take a second to take a step back and look at myself. You get lost in other people, you get lost in the dynamics. I got so lost in just dynamics. I got so lost in the us of things that it was really easy to lose track of the work that I had to do, of my own shadows, because I was able to see the shadows of the relationship very clearly, but my own shadows became a lot less evident to me. And because of that, I really believe that I was out of touch with my own intuition. The right relationship will bring you closer to being in touch with yourself. But I also think you don't get to find the right relationship, or you don't necessarily attract the right people until you are at that point. So in my experience, it's very much like a chicken or the egg sort of a situation, right? Because I was finding other people like me who just wanted to pour into relationships, not really have to look in the mirror in terms of stuff, so they could be dangerous. They could be very dangerous. I was definitely lost in the sauce, and I used relationships as an outlet to get lost in the sauce. And I think one of the biggest pieces of what I had to work on was getting out of relationships. Just being single. Living that life. And if you have friends who are dating, single, or could use the lessons that I've shared today, please be sure to share this video with them. And if you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. It would mean a lot. Right now, I am working my way to 10,000 subscribers, 10K. We're almost there, and I know we can do it. So please help me hit 10K. That would be amazing. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok at @Chrysanthus, and my DMs are open on Patreon. I have exclusive videos, exclusive gifts that I will send to you if you join my Patreon, so please be sure to check that out. And I have 3 journals: Going on a Trip, the Inner Child Check-In, and a Lucid Journal of Dreams. These are my 3 journals. They're currently available on Amazon. I wrote and designed them entirely by myself, and I hope you will take the time to at least peep them. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to get one, but just peep it. See which one calls to you. Put it on a wish list. Ask for it as a Yule gift, whatever you do. But anyways, this is the first time I talked about dating and my dating life. And if you enjoyed that, let me know in the comments. And if you didn't enjoy that, you can kick rocks respectfully, because this was something I felt very called to share, and nothing was going to get in the way of me doing that, quite frankly. But yeah, this has been how my life has been moving and flowing. If you guys watched my DMT video, I'm pretty sure I was crying pretty hard in that one because of these lessons, and they really be hitting. So yes, that video was about my relationship and dating life. And yeah, thanks for watching this one. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel. I appreciate you all so much for being here. If you're single, shout out to you. This video is dedicated to you. If you're figuring some things out, totally understand that. Sometimes it's Facebook, sometimes it's complicated, okay? But I hope to see you back for another video. And if you enjoyed this, yeah, let me know, because I'll make more videos like this. Love to you all, peace to you all, and as always, keep it trippy.